And we are going to be talking about issues that are going to be very, very important for all of us. I know it's a big issue, hot topic now. We're all kind of stuck at home now. Some of us interpreting the curfew as a proper lockdown, but we're going to discuss and kind of explore some of your thoughts and feelings on this. Also, I'm going to be looking at, how people are feeling now at the moment in their community. We want to have a community response to the coronavirus, the feeling and the impact and what people are feeling now, and also how people are empowering themselves in ways of helping and supporting fellow citizens in the UK, because obviously this is a shared problem. It's a global problem. And obviously globalization, the impact of globalization is actually felt most acutely and most with a big noise now at the moment. So here with us live on the on social media, we have brother Mumin, who's on my top of the screen, and we also have brother Jilu Miah. I'll introduce them a little bit later. But people who are actually joining us, inshallah, there are some people who are joining us. So please, the big thing I like everyone to do now is, just kind of share our link to everyone. We've sent messages out. Abu Bay, if you can do the same from where you are. I know you're in Newham, and Jilu, where are you now at the moment?
Manor Park.
You're in Manor Park. Yeah, it was in Newham. So two of you are from Newham. I'm stuck in TowerHamlets on Myland Road in my flat, and if you do hear any snoring, it's my little boy who's sleeping on the sofa at the moment. Yeah, so I've got the whole family on a lockdown in my flat at the moment, and you may hear some noise in the background. Yeah, so this is the environment that we're in under the current climate, inshallah. So let's quickly go into the background of our guest. Okay, so on your screen you will see. On your right side, you've got brother Jilu Miah, who's a social worker, and alhamdulillah, we've got two social workers here today. He's also very, very strong in the humanitarian work. He's been working tirelessly within the humanitarian sector. We will discuss some of his adventures and some of his contribution on that as well. He's also a social entrepreneur as well, alhamdulillah, so he's encouraging a lot of the community people to get into businesses and so forth, and he provides a lot of help and advice on that as well. Alhamdulillah, I've got to say, he's quite unique, one of my guests on the show today. He has a citizenship from Palestine, so he can explain that a little bit later as well. And he's also the founder and CEO of Muslim Giving, which is another platform unique within the Muslim community, inshallah, especially when it comes to fundraising. So that's brother Jilu. I've known him since he was a teenager, so we do go a long way. And obviously, in the middle, we can call him Amurubbi. He's like a fundamental pillar in the community. He's sometimes known as the Bengali Longi dancer, yeah. But obviously, I don't want to give that title to him. He's also a social worker. Unbelievably, he's also a co-founder with myself on various different pioneering programs and projects. Okay, and one of those is Eden Care, Muslim burial ground, and also he's now working on the rescue and orphan program as well, which he can then explain and kind of give us direction how that is going as well. Myself, Abjol Miah, I'm the host for today, and obviously those of you who don't know me, I've been a former councillor in TowerHamlets for 8 years, youth and community worker for many years. A lot of people know me for my violence, which is the martial art background that I come from as well. Obviously, martial art is in my blood, and as you probably can feel or hear from me, I'm kind of stuck at home and I can't train. Most of my evenings are like, I'm going to have to be at home with the family. I had to cancel all my training classes and that in the evenings and weekends and all my sparring I do. So I'm going to miss all that. So I think I'm going to be in front of you live and talking and discussing and hoping to kind of get your views and your comments and kind of look at some solutions as well. I know we've had some upsetting moments in our communities with the price inflation in regards to some of the grocery shops and that. Obviously, other TV channels have actually addressed that. The media has been very good, but we're not seeing that kind of results at the moment because there is a bit of a gap in legislation and so forth. The government is doing its best to kind of please the public and ease the pain, but I don't think the pain is going to go away because it's been felt in so many different sectors. Just to give you one example, a lot of the local masjids have closed. There was no Jummah prayer in East London. I tried to get into East London Mosque. I thought I'd sneak in, but I couldn't. Afterwards, I find out that there were some prayers taking place inside the masjid. I don't know if it was secret prayers or whatever it was, but there was some prayers taking place in Jummah. And I had to work out, why they didn't let me in and how comes they're praying inside. But when I looked at the social media on my Facebook and when I saw the live Jummah prayer in East London Mosque, then it kind of clicked to me. Yeah, what they were doing is basically making sure that Jummah prayer took place, but not with the public. It was all the staff members and volunteers and workers of East London Mosque. They were working still inside the masjid. So that what they done is basically came together and maintained the fundamental principles of Salah being performed at the masjid. Yeah. So then I was kind of relieved and happy and say, okay, someone needs to do that. They do it over there. And while all the other staff members of my workplace, we're looking around for places where to pray. Obviously, the advice is that we shouldn't congregate in big numbers. We need to take this advice quite seriously. So let's go to our guests. They've been patiently listening to me. Let's go to Brother Abu Mumin. Yeah, he's the elder here at the moment. Abu, how are you and how are you feeling? And do you feel you are trapped in a prison at the moment?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. First of all, I have to answer it in this way. My wife, she's been wanting me to be home for years and years and years. And Alhamdulillah, she's got
you
now. Yeah, she's got me.
Good.
And, but I've actually been using my time to do things at home. My children are at home as well. They're university, school, one of them just goes primary. And all of us are together and we can't go out that much. And so we're having to find different ways of keeping ourselves busy. It's not always social media. Today was a very important day for me. I feel I've achieved a milestone. Over my life, from youth work to drugs work to developing a community center to eating care, Muslim burial fund to legal. Today, we've alhamdulillah launched our rescue and orphan. For me, it's so important why that is. I've been wanting to do this. Today is so important because my mother and my father were instrumental in taking care of orphans. And today we've, alhamdulillah, and I'm happy to say, I just launched it an hour ago. When you called, I was in the middle of doing it. And alhamdulillah, from an hour to now, I've got sponsorship of 4 orphans. So I'm really pleased with that, alhamdulillah. And I'm looking to sponsor 30 orphans within the next 30 days, 30 orphans. And within the end of the year, inshallah, possibly between 500 to 1,000. And it's qualitative work. So we don't just give the money, we look after the kids. And it's not orphanage based, it's more in their communities.
Fantastic. Well, we'll come back to that later on because obviously there is a bit of a crisis taking place now, because the coronavirus, obviously I'm not a medical person, I've got no knowledge on it. I hardly go to the GP, I can't remember the last time I went to the GP, if I get a flu or a virus, I just fight it out, basically. I get my body to heat up and then burn it out, Now, from little knowledge I have, I mean, they can't even see it with a normal microscope, this small tiny virus, right? They have to amplify it so many times, to see it. This little virus is causing havoc on this planet, okay? Rich, poor, whatever background, whatever faith, whatever religion, whatever culture, customs you come from, this is actually penetrating through fences, gates, walls, whatever people are putting up as barriers, cultural barriers, religious barriers, whatever it is, penetrating governments from the rich to the poor. I mean, we've got celebrities, we've got rich people who are in isolation now. They are feeling how a lot of poor people or people who are suffering in various different ways around the world, that a lot of the aid workers and charity workers are helping. The fact is, you're going to be thinking of doing fundraising. How the hell are you going to be doing fundraising? Because we're going to be stuck at home. We're going to be. I know a lot of the masjids that are closed their doors now for Salah. they're going to go bankrupt. A lot of the small masjids now going to go bankrupt because they were dependent on the donations that they get on a Friday, but they can't open the doors for Friday because health is more important now. So there are pertinent questions we as a community we need to be asking about. I know a lot of the charity organizations are strategizing, thinking what to do in order to raise the money. I know charities are going to lose from $1 million to $2 million, because during the month of Ramadan they will not be able to do any kind of like bucket collections in the mosque or anything like that. So we'll come back to that, inshallah. Let's go back to my younger brother. Known him since he was a teenager, and I've got to say he was one of the first brothers from the British Bangladeshi community to go with me with humanitarian aid and work, and we managed to go and provide some support in Gaza itself, inshallah. So Brother Jilu, welcome to our ad hoc, out of frustration, coming on social media, trying to connect with the families and people that are watching us. I'd like to give a big shout out to Yvonne Spencer, who's actually following us. She feels isolated, but maybe we can create a company of like friendship, family, on the what do they call it, the cyberspace. Okay, all these new technology now. Yeah, so. Brother Jilu, yeah, welcome. And how do you feel with this current situation?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Thank you for LB24 for organizing this, and Abjol Bhai especially, and Abu Bhai. We know there's a lot of work for us to do now. Actually, I spoke to Abjol Bhai. We spoke yesterday in Tesco, or day before yesterday. We were in Tesco. I was picking up some water for the office, and our discussion just generally about what are we doing, what we're all doing. Everyone's panicking, everyone's thinking about themselves, which they have a right to do so. What can we do together to help the situation? So Abjol Bhai it's early in the morning. Abjol Bhai is going back to his work. I'm also thinking, we have to respond. We have to do something collectively, individually. We all, everyone's thinking, what can I do? So Abjol Bhai actually inspired me to, take some action, and we'll talk about some of the action we've taken. And of course, I've been speaking to Brother Abu Mumin about how we can, there's different levels of support intervention that we need to do, and hopefully we can discuss that more in terms of what's happening locally, nationally, internationally. We need to get the perspective, and of course there's a lot of misinformation going around, so we need to kind of not create more panic for people. Yes, the situation is very, it's a level 4 emergency. That's the highest level of emergency. And of course, it's priority for us to really right now looking at the elderly population, and of course, those with, existing health conditions. So I know some of us are thinking about, especially if you think about the children that are in school, for them, this is a traumatic experience for them. The school is ended early. So many factors about self-isolation, domestic violence, all these issues come to factor.
I think some of those issues we're facing, and I think there's a lot of grey areas. We don't know what's going to happen. And it is important that we try and get accurate, correct information out there. We try our best not to panic, but however, there are natural instincts, human instincts people have, and they've been, using that very quickly. Yeah. To give you some examples, obviously we've had people go out and do bulk buying, binge buying, whatever. Yeah, they've gone out there and they're just like, taking what they can do. I didn't want to criticize that because, I wasn't really sure if I was going to do that myself, because if I'm not really sure, if information is not coming down, if we're not sure what's going on, how long, what's going to happen, obviously the government's working towards its own plan and agenda, the way they feel that it's best for them to able to manage the population. Yeah, 66 million people to manage is not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. This kind of situation has never arisen before in this kind of scale because this is global. Yeah. So therefore, they're going to face a lot of challenges. But also, as an individual, you and I, all of us in the community, wherever we may be, our priority is ourselves, our families, and our extended families. Yeah. So I know people are going to have that bit of a selfish element. So I didn't want to be very judgmental on that. I know people have gone out there, bought loads of stuff, and probably kind of cleaned the shelves. I personally think the government failed to actually kind of respond to all the different sections. It talks about partnership. But when you talk about partnership, you can't just talk about the NHS. I know this is a medical problem, yeah. But yes, you want to get the NHS up to scratch so it can kind of take the burden on. However, there are different sectors of the society that you need to also engage with. And one of those sectors is the business community. The government has not worked with the business sector in order to kind of like give them guidance and say, look, this panic is going to take place because it was forthcoming. It's natural. Many people are very educated. They understand how the public operates. Yeah. So people are going to quickly go and do this. So if a store is actually supplying 2 deliveries, they should have been having 5 deliveries instead of 2 deliveries. So therefore, there's plenty of food, plenty of stock available, because during the Brexit time, we got prepared, we were ready for it, yeah. So we know there's enough to go for everyone, yeah. But it's all about efficiency. It's all about making sure the shelves are not empty. You got your deliveries, and that communication, that information wasn't very strong with the business sector. Small businesses are going to be hit very, very hard. And henceforth, the small businesses are thinking, hold on, the people are going to buy loads of stuff. We're going to hike the price up because in about 2 weeks' time, they're going to be fully loaded in their houses. They're not going to come out shopping because their houses are full. The kitchens are full, the bathrooms are full with whatever they bought. Yeah. So the small businesses are going to lose money in the long term. So what they've decided to, let's hike the prices up and bang, we make whatever profit we can. That will last us for the next 2 months. What do you think? Am I right or wrong? Oh, wait.
Yeah, sorry, I was forwarding my message. There has been a degree of irresponsibility from some of the businesses, yeah, and for some of the reasons you've said, they need to pay their rent. There is a potential of closure for many businesses. When they close down, they have to pay rent, rate, whatever cost. And I agree, the government has been slow to respond in this regard. They could have learned from other countries. And when they realized that the numbers of people who are beginning to die with this coronavirus, they responded. And I think there's been a panic. Now, it's not necessarily just the Bangladeshi community. Other communities are probably doing the same. Now, what we need to do, everyone needs to calm down. In terms of bulk buying, I'm not sure those people who are advocates of not going, and when you have a crisis, sometimes what you do is you have acts of vigilantism. Yeah, people, they think, that's it, I'm going to go and do this, but actually they forget the main cause. And the main cause is a disease. It's a worldwide virus, and it requires a worldwide reaction. And basically, unfortunately, from a governmental level, it's been too slow. This is unprecedented as well. It's never happened in our lifetime, in my lifetime, and it's happening now. Okay, people are genuinely worried. They are going and stocking up, because they're worried. We should be all worried. It's our children and our families, our parents, right? Now, what we shouldn't do is be going and blaming. What we should be doing is seeing how we can come together and help and make sure those people who could not. I was watching a video of a nurse. She did a 24-hour shift.
Yeah.
And when she went to the shop, she couldn't find anything. Well, why is she doing 24-hour shift in the first place is my question. Could you imagine somebody who's sleep deprived and working 24 hours? That's unbelievable. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we as a community, we need to come together. Okay, and what we need to do is help. We need people with rational mind. Right now, being emotional isn't really going to get us anywhere. We need to help. And there are lots of community groups coming. Every area, there are volunteers who are willing to give their time. we're in it for the. It's not going to be a couple of days or a couple of weeks.
Can I just interject here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be fair for me to say that when we saw some of the panic kind of buying, not necessarily all of it was selfish, because I know people went out there buying stuff for other people as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so they weren't just doing shopping for themselves, yeah. So they were going out there making. So if they knew that the next door neighbor couldn't go out, they just went out there. Neighbor said, "Look, please, can you get this or can you get that? Can you get me a bag of rice or whatever, or bag of onions?" Yeah. So now you've gone in there, you've got your shopping to do, and you've got shopping for an elderly lady that's.
I've done it. I've done it for myself. I've actually bought for my sister, bought for my for. I said, no, you can't go out. I'll go and get it. So people who are going in, they're probably going to think, oh my goodness, Abu Mumin Kumindili done. You know, he's buying 10 sacks of rice. Actually, I'm buying it for other people because I've got a car. I've got the means.
I think the key thing for me is stepping back, not being judgmental. You know, not just looking at social media and the news and being judgmental straight away. People are going to panic. Okay, people are going to panic. That's natural. Okay, now what we've got to think to ourselves is, are we going to be harming and hurting other people in that panic? And we have to be responsible for that. And that's something that we have to do as individuals. Yeah, but you know, there are many different circumstances.
Can I just interject?
Yeah,
I think
please.
some of these shops have been irresponsible. What they've done, they've hiked up the price 3 times.
I wouldn't say they were irresponsible, but I think they smashed the community at the time of vulnerability. Okay, in hiking these prices up. You know, but basically it's like it was daylight robbery.
Abjol, if I just come in,
please.
I think if we look at, of course, we talked about people are panicking. Now, if we look at human nature and hierarchy of needs, we look at our primary is our security, you know, people around us. And then, of course, food becomes a second priority. Do we have enough food? So human nature will drive towards, you know, that these elements, which is a priority for any human to live. So when there is misinformation that there's going to be you know, not an excess of food, or there's going to be a lockdown, panic is created. Now, of course, what we can do is, of course, especially businesses that we know, is really to because their mindset is, my business is going to shut down, I need to make money, or they've got a message as well. They've got a feeling things are going to crumble, the economy is going to go down, you know, all this stuff is going to happen. You know, share prices have gone down. So I think we have a duty to speak to these businesses. I've been speaking to a number of businesses, and I've been saying, look, guys, yes, it's going to crash, but you need to look at a risk mitigation plan. You need to look at remote working. You need to reduce certain costs, but you also need to realize the current event is Corona. It's not going to be your promotion or your campaign. It's the current top priority is Corona. How can you, as a business, make an impact on the Corona? Whether it's helping, whether it's supporting, whether it's providing a service, now is the time to really show as a business how you can help the community. It's our time to now give back, and really and truly, this is an opportunity really for business to really show, you know, the help they can provide. A business that was selling hand sanitizers, you know, I actually spoke to him and I convinced him to now give free hand sanitizers to anyone over the age of 60. And it took me a day of persuasion. And I said, look, it's not about the business now. The business is going to shut down. You know, according to the way things are going, you know, you have to lay people off. There are going to be people who you have to make redundant. These things are happening. And we have to look at that in context. What's going to happen to these people who are going to make redundant? Can I
just butt in, Jilu?
Yeah.
The businesses will be decimated, and it's not, when we look at business, we're not just looking at the business. We're looking at people who work in these businesses, people who support their families through these businesses. It's going to, and I like the government bailout with these big multinational companies. The small businesses, the SMEs, need to be supported. If they felt supported, why would they put up their prices the way that they have? It's a strategy. But I just feel it's going to be impacted. Is there support for, let's say, for example, rent freeze, supporting the businesses. Many of the big companies are laying off staff. What are these people? How are they going to feed their family? If you're on the government benefits, it's 100. I think the last I heard is 100 something pounds a week. And if they are having to pay their mortgages, and if they're having to pay their rent, they're not going to survive. Those small people will become bankrupt, and it's going to cause a lot more problem.
Okay, let's quickly move on to thinking about we know the types of impact it's making. Okay, first of all, we know this is going to impact upon the elderly people above 70. It's going to, so obviously the government, NHS, they're all thinking hard how to kind of like provide the support is required. Also, as a community, we've got to think about how we can provide support to the elderly people around us as well. Brother Jilu, what can we do from the community perspective in order to contribute in the solution?
I think just from the NHS perspective, of course, they are looking at escalating the plans in terms of visiting those high-risk people who are at home. Not only that, just to visit, is how they can find channels remotely, provide assistance to people who are in self-isolation. And of course, part of that is there's lots of calls coming into NHS, and of course triaging that in the right way to see who is the top priority, because people are calling for many different type of symptoms, and the NHS has a duty to really look at those priority needs. There is a shortage of ventilators. The government has put out a tender for ventilators, so there is that shortage. But again, the NHS staff are very stretched, working round the clock, and we don't want to put extra burden on them by calling them for just a symptom, a general flu symptom. We should really assess the situation. Call when you see these major symptoms are occurring. And
I'm going to have to disturb you. And again, Jilu, yeah. I know you're talking about really good things about the NHS, right, and the government and the local government. When we had the Grenfell fire, we all went out. The biggest role was played, you see, by the community, by the voluntary sector.
Voluntary sector, yeah.
Yes.
Us from Eden Care, small charity, we said we will provide burial support, right? And alhamdulillah, during the course of time, you all were involved. We did 42 burials. We are now, again, offering two things: telephone support, befriending. So we've got people from the community who are ready and waiting to engage the people who suffered from coronavirus. And the other one is burial support. Has the government, has the NHS, has the local authority, has the establishment that we call them, have they contacted us? They know that we've done this. Abjol, have they contacted us? Are they working with the community? And the answer is a big fat zero. Because the way they operate without the community. They operate without the community. Here in this national disaster, they should engage the community. And in particular, the Muslim, Bangladeshi, Pakistani BME community is awful. When times are good, when you want to engage with the NHS, the health authorities, it's very difficult. The walls are very, very high. Because
No, I'm just go on. Jilu, come in.
Yeah, go on.
Of course, now if you think about what is the government doing, of course they've sent out a response, they've written some action plans and risk mitigation. Of course, one of the things they're looking at still is researching into the virus. What is it? How can they create the vaccine? So they've created so many bodies to do that. And of course,
but Jilu,
by this time,
we know we know the vaccination ain't coming within the next 18 months.
That's right.
And
Okay.
it's not just the vaccination they should be
We
worried
already
about.
know that
Yeah.
basically the timescale, how long it will take, because obviously there's a lot of research that they have to do in order to get it right. Yeah.
So,
But the question, what Abu Bakr has said, is totally right. There are strengths within the communities. Okay. Is the government using those strengths? I don't think they are. You know, I don't think they're using those strengths. Abu Bakr, all yours.
Yeah. No, I think the NHS has for far too long ignored our community in terms of policy level, in terms of health provision. And this is another casing example. They don't wish to engage. And this is one of the reasons that frustrated me when my mum was going through the end stages of her life. What I have witnessed and seen is incredible. And they have few people from the BME community, BME Muslim community, who they say, these are our spokespeople. No, we need to engage with the higher up in the leadership, who directly need to deal with us and work with us. Here, what we're saying, we want to engage. We want to work with the NHS. We want to help. We want to be part of this plan to support. Had they said, right, we've got X number of people who need supporting, befriending. Can you please find a solution, develop a plan? We could have done that. Okay.
Yeah, Abu Bakr, I think one of the things is, of course, they want to prioritize in terms of containing the virus, and of course, because of the expected trajectory they're looking at, that unless they delay it, the NHS can't cope. And of course, now they have to look at how they're going to cope with that. But the reality, of course, in this situation, the public, the local charities, the NGOs, the volunteers is the one that really going to make the true difference now, because they're the one who are local. They know exactly what's happening. They can. This is the time to really. The early warnings are now. If we don't intervene, i.e., the local NGOs, the local charities, by the time the government come up with that response plan in terms of localized support, we'll have a number of casualties. So for that reason, of course, charities like Aid and Care are on the forefront, in the front line.
Can I give you some fact? Can I give you some fact? The first 10 people who passed away, from that first 10 people, 4 of them were of Muslim background. It's going to impact us a lot more. We live with our family, extended family. Yeah, there are issues, and we are not being engaged. This is what we should be angry about. We need to get the help and support to the most vulnerable. Our support is not restricted to just Muslims. We're offering it to the whole community. Now, I'm just worried, are we just doing another repeat of Grenfell, but on a more national level?
Well, Abu Bakr, just to interject there, I think, the government's trying its best, but I still think it's experimental, because I'll tell you why. Because the government's taken quite a lot of U-turns. They've had one strategy in the beginning, then they've kind of like changed that strategy. And if you look at how they're approaching this, is as soon as they think they've got a better plan, a better idea, they're shifting. Yeah. I don't know if you know about the herd theory, which is to kind of like allow the population to kind of like go through it very quickly as possible. Yeah, 70% of the population should get it, and kind of, because the big chunk of the population is not going to really be affected. It's that percentage of elderly people and people who've got underlying health conditions already. Yeah. Now, for me, as a person, I'm sure you will agree, every death is unnecessary. Yeah. Every life is important. Yeah, and especially those of us who work in the humanitarian background. Yeah. We're in the business. The NHS, every staff member, they're there in the business to save lives. Yeah. So for us, any little number, the government throws, people have died, 20, whatever, it's important to us. We don't want no deaths as much as possible. Yeah. Unfortunately, there are going to be some deaths. Boris Johnson said that we are going to lose many of our loved ones. Yeah. So he's already indicated that, like, basically, whatever strategy that we use, there are going to be deaths. Now, the question is, how can we help and contribute in relieving some of the pain and misery and the suffering? Obviously, medically won't be able to provide any solution unless there are some big experts within the community who can suddenly come out and say, look, we've got a magic formula. Yeah, we've left all that in the hands of the professionals who are going to be doing that. And around the globe, around the world, you know, medical professions are like working hard to try and find a solution. But currently, we're here now. This is the situation now. What can we do as a community? Can we provide support to the elderly people? Can we take that responsibility on? Forget about the statutory responsibility that the local authorities have. Can we do something from the voluntary sector? Do we need to be told to do this, or can we use our own moral compass and say, look, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do it?
Abjol, so just coming in, like, the community response is definitely needed, and that's the community response was pivotal in the Grenfell fire. And with this situation, we see more. We need NGOs, businesses, the public to get involved, but we need to keep ourselves safe at the same time. Now, of course, like we've been getting calls, we've been receiving information from charities directly that there's a lot of people, especially the elderly, who are veterans or they've actually gone through various diseases in the past. You know, they don't want to contain, they don't want to self-contain, self-isolate, and we have a duty at the family, the children, to remind them that it's important that they stay home and they self-isolate. They already some are already isolating.
Inshallah.
So that's very important. The message goes out from the family and the public, and we support the elderly at this time.
Okay. I just want to quickly thank all those who have actually coming on and sending messages and sending likes. Please go onto the link and share it with all your friends, family, colleagues as well. And also, I just want to say, Halal Bhai, thank you for your message as well. He made a very important point. How can you compare Eden Care with the NHS, Abu Bhai?
Okay, no, you can't compare Eden Care to the NHS. But what I can say to you, within the Jewish community, you have the Jewish Care. Jewish Care's infrastructure is over 50 to 60 million pounds. What can the Muslim community say? We have an infrastructure around elderly care, end-of-life care. They even have a private ambulance service to ferry the murabbis. I couldn't even find somebody, and forget about anything, no organization to ask, to say to them, can you take my mum to a place where she can mingle with other elderly people? They couldn't even provide that. The Jewish community are fantastic, and they have taken care of this. And a lot of the funding comes directly from the government. So there's nothing, we have to aspire, we have to want. We have a role to support the NHS. The NHS is part of the community. That's what I'm saying.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, I'm sure there are many other organisations out there for all different sectors want to do something, and we've only initiated this discussion online. Inshallah, hopefully this will become a bit more fruitful with people coming together, organising themselves. Jilu, tell us about you know, the campaign that you're doing regarding getting food and kind of like delivering food to the elderly people and that.
So from a national point, of course, after the Grenfell, the government realized that they need a national emergency body, and they named it the National Emergency Trust. They brought in experts from the sector to form that charity, i.e. the Charity Commission. So it was a mandate. And of course, this is their first response, I would say. And of course, no one is prepared for a situation like this. So they've set up a national campaign, which went live 2 days ago. And of course, that campaign is looking to secure funds so they can allocate funds to those charities like Eden Care, like the charities that are actively providing a service like the burial support, telephone support, the food banks, all these gaps that we have. That's what they're trying to fill. So the National Emergency Trust. So Muslim Giving is working with the National Emergency Trust to kind of capture the audience, get the funding in, and so we can distribute to these charities and financially support to those that need it the most.
MashaAllah, I've got to say, Muhammad Abdullah Bhai, he's on with us. He's sending messages out, and he's kind of highlighted the the impact the Indian restaurants will undertake soon. And obviously the business community are very, very worried how it's going to have an impact. Obviously they have to close their doors now. I'm sure they should be able to get compensation through their insurances and so forth. Please make clarification. Those people who are experts at that field, let us know. Mohammed Bhai, thank you for coming. I know the government has actually provided some support for people who are going to lose a lot of their pay in their jobs, and that 80% of their salary will be kind of provided for, but obviously the businesses will have to make the application, get ready and prepared. I think that will also affect the voluntary sector as well. So I think we need to be able to share those information. People need to start making those applications, so make sure that you are actually benefiting from the impact, so that, you know, at least it kind of, you've got some support there for you as well. So please, brothers out there, start, give us the messages. We will actually read them out, inshallah. Halaluddin Bhai, thank you for actually messaging us as well. Taxi drivers, Uber drivers, everyone's basically on the line of fire. Yeah, they're all going to be affected, and they are being affected at the moment, inshallah.
Can I just butt in? Couple of points, Abjol Bhai. So let's now talk about the Uber drivers who are self-employed. The government will look after and support people who are employees of an organization. These are Uber drivers. Are they going to be covered? As far as I know, somebody can correct me, right now, or message later on, that isn't the case. So the self-employed people, the Uber drivers who are dependent on the livelihoods of driving their cars, they're not covered. My other point is the people who are suffering in the hospital, the families. All that needs to happen is the community. We're waiting to support them.
Inshallah, Abu Bhai, if you can nurses, very quickly, just want to Halal Bhai has actually mentioned another thing. I mean, obviously, most people know us who are actually kind of messaging us, inshallah. If you look on your thread, you will see some of those messages that are coming through. First of all, big thanks to all the brothers and sisters who are actually communicating with us. Halal Bhai, thank you. One of the things mentioned is that we as humanitarian, we do a lot of charity work, helping people abroad and so forth. Can not the charity organization come together and provide some medical support and so forth? The discussion has happened already. There are charity organizations who are thinking how to kind of like provide that support. Their services are available. The question is obviously, like what Abu Bhai has said, the government needs to fit them into a role, because obviously because it's a very professionalized sector now because of the containment period that's taking place and how they're trying to control the spread of this. Obviously, people want to help, organizations want to get involved, but there has to be a mechanism how we can do it meaningfully, effectively, without causing more harm and affecting the society negatively.
Abjol Bhai, your point, just my point that I made earlier, a family, we're going to now very soon find out friends and families whose elderly people parents have been affected, older brothers, friends. Where do they go? Where do they go? So are they being referred back to the NHS, another department of the NHS? What needs to happen is
Abu Bhai, if you haven't realized yet, they've been referred back to the extended family in overcrowded conditions and that, yet to spread it to everyone else.
Right. So what I'm saying is, in that emergency situation, the community are willing to help and support those families at the hour of need. They shouldn't be dependent on social media. So one of the things, like I said, we provide befriending support, and through that we're going to access them so many other things: the food, the clothing. We're going to open up, different. Look, we're doing this show for the first time. We're not having to go outside. We're in our homes, and we're using the internet. We are looking at using those kind of technologies to re-engage families. Are you following what I'm saying?
Inshallah. Abu Bhai, before Jilu comes in, I just want to quickly read Brother Bazlu Rashid's point that he's made. Is a very important point. We all have a part to play during this tough time, from checking up on our neighbors and the elderly to promoting self-isolation and not panicking. A very good point, brother. Inshallah, keep those messages coming in. That's from Brother Bazlu. Jilu.
So I was just saying, in terms of containing, especially the elderly population, not being infected or being able to manage them is
Jilu, before you start, have you? I mean, I've isolated my mum, yeah. Okay, me and my family, we've isolated our mum. We're making sure
great.
our mum doesn't come out. Okay, and also
I'll give
there's minimum contact. Okay, but some murabbis, unbelievable, they sneak out.
So I'm going to give you a classic example.
They're not having none of it. They're not having none of it.
They're not having none of it, mate.
I'll give you a story. I had to do a response to a call, and I actually wanted to really speak to the person because the person's not listening. 70-year-old, lots of complications, health condition, also recently been screened for cancer, smoking patient, over 70, Asian. Every morning going out, getting a biryani, yeah? I said, why do you need to go out and get a biryani? You can cook, you know how to cook, you know how to make food, basic food, just for isolate yourself until we hear more news. Right now,
there are charities, there are people in the community who are willing to take him biryani. He doesn't need to go out and have the biryani.
Oh wait, let's hear what Jilu says. I'm interested in finding out what the outcome was.
So then of course, part of that visit, we don't want to really visit him. But in this case, of course, we had to go masked up, gloves and everything. Gave him some sanitizers and some food and said, look, don't go out. He's still saying he will go out. And we said, if you do decide to go out, make sure you protect yourself. You go for fresh air. If you need it, come back in straight away. Don't go out. If you need anything, call the charities that are local. And there's many NGOs that are doing this great work. Today we set up a food bank in E1 at TowerHamlets, and part of that food bank is, of course, people are dropping off food. So some of this excess stuff people bought, people are realizing that,
Jilu, smashing work, Jilu Bhai. Halal Bhai asked that same question. Any halal Muslim friendly food banks in TowerHamlets? You've just answered that, yeah. The food is halal, yeah.
Yeah, of course, the list of items that currently have been, we even got black seed oil, cedar honey. These are things we know are a treatment for us.
And any part of our community, irrespective of what faith they can come from, they can come and pick up the food. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. There's a number there.
Who do they contact?
I'm
sure we'll have to give that information.
So there's the number. I can put it on the message later on if I get the chance, or I'll put it on my posts on my Facebook. It's on. If you just type in E1 TowerHamlets Food Bank on Facebook, it will appear. There's social workers, health professionals, and we're trying to unite this services together so we can really manage this situation. Not just TowerHamlets. We have to look at the global picture as well. But right now we know people close to us are being affected, and the messaging has to, of course, we don't want to give misinformation, but we need to really home into the elderly that they have to stay home.
Okay, Abu Bhai, elderly definitely, yeah. One thing I like to say, irrespective what the government says that, certain percentage of elderly people are going to be affected, we are going to see deaths and loved ones being taken away from us. How do we as a community prepare for that?
Well, a lot of people have been asking around burial, around janaza. Well, with coronavirus victims, if, for example, as soon as they pass away, they're wrapped around a sheet, that their body, there's no more traditional ghusl. They will not be able to undergo that because of the fear of spread of the virus. Then they put a body bag, and then they put a coffin, and only a limited number of people can go to the burial ground, and they have to be protected wearing the right clothing. Now, unfortunately, that is the case now, where in burial grounds only 10 to 15 people can go, and they are not able to, from the moment of getting the virus, they're not able to see their loved ones. They're not able to speak to them. We take we slowly read the Quran, the Shahada. These are not an option for many of the family members, and
Indeed,
it's a tough one.
Indeed, otherwise this is going to be a difficult time and a challenging time for the whole of our society and the community. I was watching the news, and I think according to I think the Church of England, advice has been given that even for marriage ceremonies, only 5 people to attend. That's the vicar or the person who's conducting the religious ceremony, the couple, and 2 witnesses. So
you just mentioned something so interesting. What happens to all these big lavish weddings where hundreds of people have been invited?
Well, that's a topic we're going to come into a bit later on.
Can you touch on that, please?
We will touch on that, yeah, because that's a topic basically we would like to talk about, yeah, inshallah. So obviously the impact's going to take place, the burial. Do you think the community is ready to accept the way it's going to happen now? Oh, wait.
I don't think the mindset, it's going to be a tough one. People, the whole lifestyle as we know it, from work to school to university to going out, it's going to be different. We have to be mentally really be open enough to accept some of the changes, like weddings we're talking about.
Yeah, we'll come to the wedding soon. Jilu, do you agree that we will have to accept our new way of living now? I mean, obviously it's going to be restricted. It's going to be very, very challenging for us. We're going to experience new problems, and obviously we'll have to look at new solutions. Is that the reality for us now?
I try to look at the situation from a global perspective. Especially, I got a call today from Palestine, and the message to me is: look, they are, what they've been experiencing for years is what we are feeling a taste of that in this, and they are very compassionate towards that, because we're always giving to, and the UK is one of the biggest givers when it comes to helping globally, and now we're in a position where those people who used to give are those people who are the victims. So it's going to be a challenge for all of us to really rise up and really help those around us and the community. But the bigger picture is, of course, these things, viruses have come and gone. It's how we respond, and how we, Abu Bakr said earlier, how we look at the situation, and how we can really make best use of the situation. Like, one of the things I see is it's actually given us more of an opportunity and obligation now to engage with the elderly. Some of the lives we're living.
I'll come to some of the positives very soon, how it socially is actually bringing people together. Yeah. But just very quickly, I want to go back to the marriage and the wedding ceremonies. Obviously, the government's given out loads of guidelines, and I think it's very important. Especially social distancing. Yeah, it's very important that people maintain that, because obviously we don't want the virus to spread. We don't want, because far as I know, a lot of people could be carriers. Okay, a lot of people are not going to even know that they've got this virus. Yeah. Yeah. So if we are carriers and we actually are the cause by going and interacting with an elderly person, or going visiting someone, or whatever, on the tube, on the bus, or whatever. Yeah. Then we have to be responsible as human beings in order to ensure that we are not contaminating other people who are going to be who are vulnerable, who's going to be affected, and who are then going to end up as stats, because every time we're going to go online on the health impact and how many deaths have been created, and 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever. Yeah, everyone's just going to be numbers, so. It's one of those things that we have to kind of like be mindful of, inshallah, and face those challenges. But I think those guidelines are important. Now, how much of that guidelines people are going to adhere to, Obviously, people have planned loads of weddings. Like next couple of months, I know loads of weddings. Some wedding halls are actually cancelling. Some family members are cancelling. Abu Wai, what do you think? Do you think go ahead?
No. I think the people who are getting married, first of all, if they're watching, you need to be sensible. What my advice is, have a nikah done. Yeah. So you're married, and delay the party. So you're married, delay the party, the walima, to a date when it's safe. I've got invitation to go to weddings in April, so many of them.
Okay, wait. Quick question. Yeah, you got an invitation to go to a wedding. Would you go? Would you take your family there?
No, I won't go, and I won't take my family because that is irresponsible.
Okay, are you going to be responsible enough and say to the host, say, look, I will. You've given me invitation, but unfortunately, I have to be honest with you. But I will not be able to come and bring my family. Would you be able to?
Abjol, this illness, this disease, this virus is life-threatening. It's not a joke. Anybody who thinks that you're going to, those people who do go ahead, they're going to face themselves with an empty hall. People will not be going, and I would encourage people not to go because, we want people to survive this. Stay isolated. Maybe have a wedding like what we're doing through Skype. Is not responsible. Salah, the 5 daily Salah in the masjid is being stopped because of safety concerns. And Islam allows that, it gives that allowance. So no, please reschedule. You should get a refund. The government should be supporting the wedding halls with a package of support. So they don't go bankrupt also. So I'm hoping the government comes in and intervenes.
Jilu, what's your take?
Of course, up and down the country, just Ramadan, close by, lots of events take place, iftar events and all these different types of charity events. We've been seeing lots of events being cancelled now, and people are moving to alternative webinars, trying to limit face-to-face contact gatherings. So we need to really become innovative in terms of how we approach our situation, using technology as an advantage point. Of course, there are going to be certain commitments. People have planned holidays for Easter. How traveling abroad, what are the consequences if the country is shut down? So all these factors people need to look into how, and this is not a 1 week issue, 2 weeks, they're looking at this to be in the long run, this situation, and we need to really prioritize.
Jilu, 12 months, brother. 12 months.
A long run, yeah.
12 months, yeah, right? Okay, so inshallah, whatever information we get, we want to make sure it's accurate. We want to make sure it's factual. It's important that we try and gather, like factual information, rely on the mainstream. There are some conspiracy theories going around. Okay, Jilu, have you heard of the what's it called? What's that one? That the phone signal one.
No, I've not heard of that.
G5 or something.
Yeah, 5G. I heard of that one.
5G. You heard of that one? Yeah. I mean, I laugh at it every time people keep on sending it to me. Yeah. What I don't understand is, I mean, obviously, I gave you a kind of, I don't know much of that. Yeah, right. But like conspiracy theories like that. I mean, how serious should be towards this disease and tackle that, or should we be researching and trying to find other form of interpretation and understanding? Oh, wait.
Yeah, no, I think we just don't know who's telling the truth. This coronavirus originating from China. Some people say 5G network was being developed there, and something. I don't know. Other people from an Islamic point of view, they say end of time is coming. This is doomsday. I've been told months ahead, 5 months, a year ago, what we should do is stock up. that this is coming. Something big is coming.
5 months ago, and you never told us.
1 year ago. 1 year ago.
And you never told us, huh?
Wallahi, I had someone saying they're concocting something, and I actually said that you're losing it, you know. And I'm just now watching with a lot of interest what is going on, because you know the other bit I wanted to talk, Abjol, I know we're going to talk about conspiracy. Don't forget this one is the international aid work, the refugees, the poor, the orphans. You know, we support a lot of other projects. I hope you can discuss that later on. Just on the conspiracy side, I don't know. You know, did someone release this to harm or reduce the human population? You know, for a prime minister of United Kingdom, in one of his first address, I don't know if you remember, what did he say? We're expecting a lot of casualties within the elderly population. You mentioned it earlier on. Did you hear that?
A lot of loved ones, yeah. Yep, that's right.
What did he say? What did he say? What did he say exactly?
He said we will lose many of our loved ones.
So he had that information, and still he continued to operate. We lost Jilu, did we?
No, Jolly's still there.
No, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Yeah. Now, basically, they know that this is what's going to happen. So I'm just questioning. I'm questioning what is going on.
Okay. Anyway, the questioning might be too big. It might be above our head. Yeah. You know, I'm going to stay simple, and I think I see an immediate problem, which is the coronavirus is actually going to have some serious detrimental impact on us. I know there's going to be fatalities. Question is, we've got to bunker ourselves in and kind of have the solution to kind of survive and go through not only just the physical survival, but also the social, psychological, and mental, and the spiritual one. And also, very importantly, we have to kind of prepare this long 2 months or 3 months. I mean, there are kids out. I mean, look, my son's actually sleeping in the sofa here now. Yeah. So the whole family's like, you know, in the house. How are our communities like going to, or are we used to it? Are we used to living like overcrowded in these flats? So it's not.
Can I just say? Shanaz has written, we can't ignore the conspiracy theorist. You can't ignore it, because, you know, I was told about something was going to happen a year ago, and now we're hearing about G5 and all these other. You know, I think it's something worrying in that side. If you read her thread, Abjol, she's made them know.
Well, Abu Bay, did you listen to that voice message that came on WhatsApp here, where this guy basically had someone from the military come in and who explained basically the reason that they're going to bring the army down here is to kind of control the population, you know, all the antisocial behavior that may take place. And also, if the police and the army can't deal with it, they're going to bring the aliens down and kind of try and zap.
No.
Have you heard that one? Have you?
No, I haven't heard that one.
So my point is, there's going to be loads of hocus pocus stuff out there, yeah, right? I think we've got immediate problems with the community. So social disharmony. I mean, can in a couple of weeks' time, you know, people who haven't stocked up, people who haven't got enough food available, and if there are not enough community support out there, do you think people are going to, you know, there's a good chance that, you know, civil unrest may break out as well? Jilu?
I'm just thinking, like, of course, when we are thinking about how did this virus come, of course, you can come up with various, you know, thoughts, whether it's conspiracy, whether it's man-made, whether it's natural, with a decree of God. But most importantly, of course, the basic, the public, the people who are not thinking about this, they're not really actually thinking of the basic point, which is the COVID-19 coronavirus is a serious matter. It doesn't matter where it came from. Right now, it's a serious matter.
On that point,
it kills people.
On that point, Jilu, I just want to, agree with Sister Shanaz. She kind of said that, social distancing is very, very important. Sister, we totally agree with that as well. And one of the things we want is people, please take this seriously. It's not a joke. It's not aliens coming down trying to zap people, yeah? It's a virus that even the superpower can't have no control over.
We can't, the uncles, they want to go out, bro.
Yeah.
You can't stop them. They say,
That's
Allah
right.
hawla. By the will of Allah, we're going.
Well, you see,
what do you say to that?
Abu Bay, if someone says Allah hawla, yeah, and they're elderly, we need to explain to them that that's fine. But what you got to do is you got to make sure the safeguard and the interest of everyone else is very important. You might have accepted your journey, but we have to protect the society. So I think the importance of protecting the interests of the greater society is very, very important. I know there might be a lot of brave people out there but you can't go out spreading that. You can't spreading the virus. You can't. And that's totally wrong. So I think we need to. I mean, I saw an elderly person on the market stall today in Whitechapel. So I said to him, Uncle, how comes you're out here? He goes, oh, I said, look, no, it's best. And then what happened? The good thing was, even the shop owner turned around and said, look, Sasa, please, it's better if you don't travel around because you don't know who you're going to bump into. Because if someone passes you and then they sneeze on you or whatever, yeah, you're very, very vulnerable. We've got to play our role. We've got to do what we can. We've got to kind of ensure. I know our elderly people are very strong and firm, and they're not used to this. They get bored with isolation. Yeah. Can you imagine an elderly person living with their extended family? I know 7 people living in 2 bedrooms and that. Yeah. It's not a comfortable place to be in. Yeah. So we are going to face difficult times. The question is, how do we entertain the people there? How do we educate our children in there? I know parents and families are working very hard looking at curriculums and syllabuses and everyone helping. So there's a positive side to this. Now, the positive side now is that this disease, this virus is bringing families together, communities together. Now, people are praying more together at home in Jamaat. That family bonding will take place more. That will happen, especially within the Muslim community and the BME community. But what I'm afraid of is that a lot of our isolated community, like for example on my block, we've got about 3 or 4 elderly pensioners, and I think one of the things that we should do, all of us, in whichever blocks, whichever states we live in, identify the elderly people and say, look, say hello to them from a distance, see if they're okay, ask them if they need any shopping. If we play our civic role effectively, we can do our bit. You will feel good about that, but that's a responsibility we should do as well. Yeah.
Again, that on the flip side, that is a good thing, that is a bad thing. The children go out to schools. The schools have closed down today. They bring that infection to the extended family. The most vulnerable are
I told you, the first theory they had was to spread it quickly. It's for everyone to get it quickly. If the 70% of the population gets it quickly, then they can deal with it afterwards easily, because the assumption was that once you get it, you won't get it again. But then now there are cases where in China, people are getting it twice. Okay, so they had to do a bit of a U-turn now. Yeah, so now it's a little bit more serious. And obviously, if you look at the charts that they're giving, like how the spike's going to happen, and we as UK, we're on the climb. We're not even halfway. So we're discussing ahead of what may be the problems, and what we need to do is look at ways of how we can survive the next 2 or 3 weeks. Not just from the virus, but as people. We don't want to break our humanity down. We want to be human. We want to be decent. We don't. If I was a shop owner, and I saw people are desperate, I wouldn't hike the price up. I would say, well, here we go. I'll come out and help the elderly people with the shopping bags. We should be doing good things. This is
some people are saying we should name and shame these shops. Yeah, because what they have done is they miscalculated the community. They've taken us as fools. Some of these businesses, I'm not saying all, and now the businesses they need to do some serious.
No, definitely. We've discussed that. I want to move on to Jilu. Jilu, we've got one of the biggest youth population in the Muslim community here, right? What are we going to do with them, bro?
I think just before I come to the young people, of course, we're talking about self-isolation, and I was talking to my brother today. He's a practicing social worker, and he's telling me how, of course, isolation is important, but of course, there's a risk now of everyone being contained at home, and domestic violence, they're concerned they're having to force certain people to stay because, that's what they've been, not forced, but it's, people are doing that, and people are already stressed, people losing jobs, people panicking. So of course, at home, people need to find things to do. People need to find ways to engage the children, engage, support the elderly, and also stay calm. Yes, it's going to be very difficult. And of course, for the young people, like today, as I was driving into work, and I was seeing the children walk past, and I said, we might not see that for a long time now. Every morning, we see kids on the road going to school, and we don't know when it's going to open. Today's kids were the teachers were crying at school I went to. The teachers were crying. They didn't know what to say. When normally they say, see you in 2 weeks' time. They couldn't say 2 weeks' time. The teachers were crying. The parents were crying. The kids are thinking, what is happening? They're thinking, some may be thinking, okay, some kids don't know. Like I spoke to a child. They think it's a zombie. People are going to turn into zombies. So young people are. We have a duty to protect the children as well at the same time to get them informed. I spoke to some young people today. Say, look, I don't care if I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. But they're also living with the elderly mother, so they need to realize. And I said, okay, you're living with the elderly mother, but you're going out. You're a carrier. You can affect your mom. What are you doing about it? What are you doing about and it was a natural response. If I get it, I get it. But you're not doing nothing to protect yourself. So we have a duty.
We have a lot of work to do. I can see the work, especially for all our community leaders and activists, social workers, youth workers. We've got a humongous task in our hands. Yeah, how we do that from a bedroom or from the living room is another challenge for us. Yeah, and I think what you've just highlighted is very, very important. People are going to struggle to keep the teenagers inside. The teenagers are going to go outside. They're going to do what they're doing. How do we keep them? I mean, and that's a challenge that we have to go through. But can I just quickly say to Abubay and both of you, up to date, we've got 167 people have died in England at the moment. Yeah, what does that number mean to you?
Well,
are you immune to numbers? Because obviously, like if you compare that with other deaths that take place, it's just another number. But as a human being, 167 in England, six in Scotland, not a lot, But should I really be saying that? Yeah, 3 in Wales, and the projected is about 250,000 people are most likely going to be affected who may lose their life. Yeah, what does that number mean?
I've been dealing with death and burial for 5 years now, Abjol. This is something that it affects us all. For me, the numbers mean a lot. It's another human being. It could have been avoided, but it wasn't. And it means to me is we should try to save life as where we can. And I think for me, I'm just saddened that we've got to this stage. We're looking at 250,000 over how many years? Over 5 months? Over 1 year? In this country alone, in the country, Great Britain and Wales and UK, 500,000 people die every year. If you have that 500,000 people die, on top of that, another 250,000, that's a huge number who's going to die. It could be your mom, it could be your dad, it could be somebody that we love. And no, it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't be. We should not put our elderly population, and it's not elderly population. We've got young people who are terminally ill.
Yes, that's right.
Have conditions. They are also affected. So what we need to do is be responsible, self-isolate, and help our families. And where we can, I personally think the mosques have a big role. And I also think some mosques and trustees and imams in this whole thing, Abjol, they have been irresponsible. They have been irresponsible because they have, despite all their advice and guidance, they have let the mosque open, and they are still leaving the mosque open because of pressures from there, whatever.
But Abu Wai, did you realise that Boris Johnson, in his announcement, mentioned the places that are going to be closed down? He didn't mention the mosque, did he? Yeah, the mosque and that were closing down even before he made the mention. So there's been some serious communication going on within the hierarchy of the mosque and mosque organisations and that. And information from Home Office is being kind of passed down. And the mosque have been slowly preparing their congregation to a point where, today obviously there was no Jilu Miah prayer.
Why have I been saying all this time, the government, the NHS, the different departments, they're very proactive when it comes to prevent extremism. But when it comes to health, helping the community, they are very slow in engaging the Muslim community in particular to come together and resolve, help solve a problem. This is a problem that's been going on for far too long. I'm just stating the obvious. A lot of people just don't know what needs to happen. They should have it, and they should be. We're the second biggest faith group in the UK. Where is our voice? Where are our BME-led Muslim-friendly organizations and that's what my point was.
Okay,
but
Okay, Abu, you made that point very clear. You made it several times, yeah. Jilu, very quickly, yeah. How can the community unite together? I mean, obviously, a lot of people can do things in isolation, but I think a coordinated approach is very important. Is it possible to actually get our communities to work together in a coordinated way, or shall the community just do what they can and do it the way they can?
I think we, when we think about what's the government doing, what's the NHS doing, it's everyone. We need to ease the pressure, and one of the way we can ease the pressure is, of course, this is an opportunity for people to come forward really and see where they can put the skill, whether it's providing safeguarding, whether it's looking at the young people's needs, whether it's education. I've seen online education taking place now, so kids can participate. If people can help with telephone support, which Eden Care is providing, people who've set up food banks. So we need to come. Businesses, as I mentioned earlier, businesses have got a role to still play, because some of the stock it's perishable stock or non-perishable. These things if it can be used as a way to mitigate, especially businesses got food supplies. And I spoke to a local shop. He says he's got enough stock, but he can't sell it. He's not going to do nothing with it. The shop has to be shut down, or you don't know what's going to do. Best to give it to people who need it now. You're going to save lives. What's more important, saving lives or your stock? We have to put that in perspective. Now, people are going to die. People around you are going to die. Before, when we're talking about numbers, it's estimated about 12,000 people have died from this corona. But these people around you are going to be affected. So we all have a duty to play. Whatever we can, whether it's I know there's lots of messaging going on, which is creating more panic.
Jilu, I think,
but practically, how can we help?
Yeah, well, Jilu, Sister Shanaz is in line and in agreement. She's also saying, well, why would the government help the Muslim project themselves? Our own community is so fragmented. We need leaders who can unite the community. So there is a need for some leadership. At the moment, do you see any leadership taking place in our communities?
I've been speaking to some of the big institutions, and it's been like a very slow response. Sorry, but we've been thinking, of course, about when the mosque is going to close, which is a very important decision to be made. But we need to be a bit ahead of this, where we need to really know the number of people who are currently at risk and who's doing what in those areas. What can we do? What can we do for the young people? We're actually having lots of discussion about matters that is not going to save lives right now. Preserving life is the top priority, and we need to come together. And of course, they are thinking now. The people I'm talking to, it's important we talk to people. These messages are getting it more confusing. We could get on the phone. If you're home, it's a better time. Get on the phone. Find out who have they protected themselves, their family, the people around them, their neighbor. Can they do anything else? and we can mobilize. We can mobilize online. The technology is a system, and we can use to our advantage.
Abu Bay, do you think Muslim burial is ready with all the possible deaths that you may encounter?
Well, I'm hoping the families are able to take care of the burial needs themselves, financial, and also look after the visits. If they're not, we are there to support them. I think what Jilu mentioned, you asked a question, Shanaz mentioned. I think, with the Grenfell, we came together under the GMRU. But what happens is we always limit ourselves. We could have developed something similar to the National Emergency Trust, which is de facto it's Red Cross. It's basically what presence do we have in this National Emergency Trust from a Muslim point of view? Yeah. If we have people there, alhamdulillah, that's good, because that is a correct way.
Jilu, do we have people there?
So, of course, the National Emergency Trust has been set up, and they are accountable to the public. So any funds they're raising, there needs to be proportionate allocation of funds to areas of high priority needs. Now, of course, they're gonna, when they come to localize funding, they're gonna work with NGOs that they have, whether they have a existing relationship, they have to show fair, a transparent way of allocating those resources.
Jilu,
but the reality is now.
Okay, brother, just to let you know, we're going to continue for another 5 minutes. I'm going to bring you in to provide some summaries a bit later on. So, Jilu, just continue the point that you're making.
Can I just answer that question? Do we have a Muslim representation within the National Emergency Trust?
So there is from my understanding, there's one trustee at the moment who's a Muslim, and they have experts in that field. Of course, we can't solely depend on the National Emergency Trust, but it's required for coordination. Where the funds that come in, they will look at the needs. Especially data is very key. We need to know that we're not duplicating our efforts. That's what happened with Grenfell. A lot of duplication work. So this is going to be a big test for National Emergency Trust. But forget the National Emergency Trust. There's 170,000 charities in the UK. We need to all come together. There's all these grassroots movements, street movements that are popping up and down the country, who are actually doing things. They're actually physically dropping food off. They're going out there to see who's lonely. We want to make sure people don't die alone in their homes because no one visited them, or no one sent them a food pack, or no healthcare professional bothered to. Of course, we know they're stretched, but no one knows about what's happening.
Okay. Abu Bay, obviously, we spent a lot of time discussing. We tested the platform. Inshallah, your thoughts and feelings and your summary for today, inshallah.
Okay, my two summary is I'm very concerned of the international charity work that a lot of the Muslim charities do. With the coronavirus coming, let's say the Ramadan packs, I myself am involved. It's been a lot slower. Our volunteers are not willing to come out like the way that they have. I'm very worried about the Syrian refugees, what's happening, food and emergency supplies that we have contributed from this country. There's going to be a significant reduction. And I really hope that everyone who's watching, that we shouldn't allow that reduction. We should continue helping the poor and those needy. This is my first point. Second point is we had to make a tough call. We have a lot of service users, elderly service users in the care homes. What the care homes have decided to do is shut their door. So
30 seconds, away.
We can't go and visit them. But so what we had to do is revert online because of infection. You don't want to go and visit somebody and infect them. That's why they are under a safe environment May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all, and let's hope there's a good outcome from this.
Brother Jilu.
Yeah, I think my last message is we need to come together, we need to unite, we need to strengthen, and this is really an opportunity for us to really make a difference.
Jazakallah, two of my brothers. I guess, inshallah, spending your time. I mean, I don't know what you were going to do anyway. Probably stuck in your room or bedroom.
They would have probably watching a movie.
So you probably watch a movie. But I think we did something better than watch a movie. I think we've engaged a load of people. Big thanks to Sister Shahnaz. We've had many other, Brother Halal, made loads of positive, and also Ubaid. There's loads of people here for messaging, texting. So inshallah, jazakallah to you, brothers and sisters, for actually spending that time with us. We are at a difficult time now. We're in time when obviously we don't know what's going to happen. We can only do our best. Obviously, social isolation is very painful. It has its challenges, especially with various different communities. There are those who are going to be very, very lonely, isolated. They've got no communication, or they may not even have knowledge of technology, how to use. I mean, it took me a while to kind of sort this out as well, yeah. And I've learned a lot, and I've got to thank LB24 for actually educating me on this and trying to get Abu Bay on. And why did you get such a big earphone as well?
I never used it. It's my son's game thing.
And brother Jilu there, first when we saw Brother Jilu on the screen, it was like all fuzzy and everything like that, and somehow he cleaned the his camera, and then he brightened up, and it did disappear a little bit. So can you see, this is interesting time. I think it's interesting time for us now. So I think we're definitely going to be using social media. We're going to be using this medium to try and communicate. There are going to be people who are a bit isolated, lonely. If we can bring some laughter, happiness, to your life, and also some facts and information, and if we can also provide some solutions and look at ways and solving the problems in the best way we can, not being judgmental, because we shouldn't be judgmental. There's a lot of people going to do a lot of things out there. We shouldn't be judgmental. Everyone's got their interpretation. Even those conspiracy theories out there, give it. It's a free society. It's up to people to decide how they take that information. I'm going to do my best to kind of digest what I think is going to be reasonably good and sound and accurate. Yeah, I'm sure everyone else is going to do the same as well. This is Abjol Miah with my guest Abu Mumin, and also Brother Jilu Miah here as well. Three of us, we all come from the humanitarian sector as well, and we do our best. And I'll be hopefully hosting this show as regularly as can. It's probably going to be ad hoc. I might suddenly feel bored sometimes and come back online again, subject to how I feel really. But I want to thank everyone for actually taking part, contributing. Hopefully it was meaningful. We're just on the beginning of the start of our journey of the challenge that we're going to be faced. Let's do it together. People of all faith, all communities, with all expertise. Let's get together. I'm sure there's loads of expertise in the community that the government can benefit from. Keep on airing them, keep on voicing them. If you think that people are doing injustice to you in any form of shape, do report it, especially with all these hiking prices and that. Yeah, there are ways of making complaints. Make your voice. Be polite, be gentle. You don't have to become aggressive. You don't have to go there in mobs and kind of surround and intimidate people. But you have the right to express yourself. Do it. I'm frustrated. I was angry when I saw people putting the price down, especially hitting the elderly people as well, yeah, because obviously they're not going to use their choice. They don't know how to make complaints. They don't know who to go to. But obviously their grandchildren and their children ain't going to stand for it. So you are going to get people coming around the shop asking, how comes this meat price is high? That's going to happen for not too long. Believe me, give it another week, yeah, right? All the shops are going to be empty because everyone is loaded in their houses with the supplies that they need, because they're not too really sure, if the government's going to come and help them or anything, yeah. So all the shops are going to be empty after that. But for us, let's keep on educating our children. They're not going to be going to school. Make sure you got a good education program at home. Look after them. Look after your elderly people. Make sure you are not the cause of spreading the virus to other people. Be considerate, yeah. Stay clean. Wash your hands. Wash your face. Do your 5-time prayers and wash clean. Do everything. Pray at home. Don't have to go to the masjid. Speak to people when you walk in. Keep it distance. Say hello to people. Say hello to your next door neighbors. Yeah. Just because we got this price, it doesn't mean you put your head down and cover your face and become zombies. Still be a human being. Enjoy the best of your life that you've got. inshallah. That's my message, and hopefully you'll see a lot of me online, inshallah. So from me and also from LB24 and my guest on the studio, thank you very much for being with us and spending that time. Hope it was fruitful, inshallah. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.